His name was Arthur Morel, a discreet man, hardworking, some would say boring, but not him. He valued foresight. At 38, he ran the family business, a historic building restoration company inherited from his father, and Arthur had turned it into a local empire. Public projects, luxury villas, boutique hotels. Everything he touched gained value. He didn't speak much, but when he did, people listened. He lived in a large limestone house, down a private lane lined with cypress trees, a well-trained dog, a manicured garden, solid oak furniture, and a solitude he had chosen. Arthur had never been the type to chase women. Too risky, too emotional, too unpredictable. He'd had a few relationships, but something always felt off. A gaze that lingered too long on his accounts, a hand too quick to explore his desk drawers. He always backed off, just in time. But with time, the silence grew heavier. Not every day, not with every meal, but some evenings, when the house was too quiet, and even the fridge seemed to sigh. He thought, maybe I waited too long. And that's when fate showed up. Her name was Clara Vernuel. Tall, elegant, witty, with a smile that could melt brick walls, and words always well-chosen. They met at a charity gala. She worked for an event agency. He was one of the sponsors. Clara approached him gracefully. No flattery, no obvious games, just enough. Arthur felt something, a presence, a mystery, and he began to fall. Slowly, deeply. 6 months into the relationship. Dinners, travels, laughter, whispered dreams. Arthur was falling completely. And Clara? She was flawless. Too flawless. He couldn't imagine life without her anymore. He started picturing a home, children, shared mornings. Then one day, he asked her to marry him. It was a summer lunch, outdoors, under a white parasol at a quiet restaurant they liked. Clara wore an ivory linen dress. She was sipping a spritz. Arthur, as usual, had iced tea. And during a chat about other couples, their weddings, divorces, financial scandals, Arthur casually said, "You know, with everything I've built, I think we should sign a prenup, just to be safe." Clara didn't flinch, didn't even pause. She didn't put her glass down. She just smiled. "Of course. You've worked hard. I respect that. You're okay with it?" "Of course. I'm not here for your money. I'm here for you." He should have questioned that line. It was too perfect, too polished. But in that moment, it melted his doubts, made him fall even harder. The prenup was drawn up by Maitre Lacourt, a meticulous, borderline obsessive family lawyer. Everything was clear. Separate property, no rights over his business, a clause to reclaim gifts if fraud was proven, full protection over his real estate. Clara signed without hesitation, barely skimmed it, flashed the charming smile and said, "If it gives you peace of mind, let's do it." Arthur felt loved, understood, protected. He had no idea. He had just saved himself. It was a dream wedding. Chic, rustic, elegant, hand-picked guests, stunning setting. Clara was radiant. Arthur was proud. He thought, "I've finally found her." But he had no idea what was waiting around the corner. After the wedding, things shifted, subtle at first. Absences, odd silences, last-minute trips for work. Then the spending, luxury bags, spa retreats, club memberships, and money, lots of it, for her projects. Arthur's alarm bells started ringing, but Clara always had an answer. A tear, a tragic story from childhood, a late-night confession. And Arthur, lost in love, chose to believe her. A call came from a notary. A piece of land Arthur never sold was now under a new name. He looked into it, and that's when the name Clement Duroy surfaced. Clara had mentioned him once, briefly. A toxic ex, she'd called him, one she had cut out forever. But Arthur was about to learn. She had never cut him out at all. The name Clement Duroy hit like a punch. Arthur remembered it. Once, over dinner, Clara had called him a bad memory, a man she'd erased. But the money trail said otherwise. The email metadata, the bank accounts, the patterns. Clement was still in the picture. Very much so. Clara wasn't just meeting him. She was living a second life. In another apartment, another city, another role. Every time she claimed stress or needing space, she was visiting Clement. In Paris, in Lyon, or somewhere he'd never know. And Clement wasn't just there for company. He was cashing in. receiving the money, spending it. Some of the property sales were in his name. They were a team, Clara and Clément. And Arthur was the jackpot. It broke him. Not just the betrayal, but the level of calculation. Every kiss, every "I love you," all part of a con. But Arthur didn't cry, didn't rage. He sat down and started planning his next move. Arthur built his case. Emails, transfers, photos, logs. Clément's name was everywhere. They weren't just lovers. They were thieves, in silken suits. But they didn't count on one thing. The prenup, that innocent little contract they'd signed, on a sunny terrace, while sipping drinks. It was now a sword, hanging over their heads. Arthur confronted Clara. She denied, then cried, then threatened. But he didn't flinch. He showed her the contract, the clauses, the limits, the fine print. She read, and her face collapsed. She would get nothing. Not the house, not the cars, not even the art. She was outplayed. Arthur filed charges. Fraud, breach of trust, conspiracy. The case was airtight. The evidence, irrefutable. Clément got sentenced. Clara too. 3 years suspended and banned from her profession. Arthur won. But the cost was high. Arthur left the big house, sold some assets, shut down subsidiaries, changed numbers, moved away. Now he lives simply, in a quiet town where no one knows his name. Smaller house, smaller business, more reading, long walks with his dog, iced tea in hand, peace. He no longer seeks love, not out of bitterness, but clarity. He knows love exists, but the kind that's honest, loyal, real, is rare. He won't be a prize again, a wallet, a target. Clara? Gone, forgotten, condemned, erased. But what remains for Arthur is his dignity, his self-respect, and one hard-earned truth. It's not passion that saves you, it's preparation. That day, when he signed that contract, Arthur didn't know. He had just saved his own life.